Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1271, written by forresthopkinsa. The Coconut of Time. I'd like to preface this by saying that neither my husband nor I do any sort of drugs, suffer from any mental illness, or abuse alcohol. We drank occasionally, but had not been drinking that night. It happened about 8 months ago. We lived in a small apartment with our 2 young children and our dog, while we saved up for a down payment on a home. It was a typical Monday night around 7 p.m. We had just cleaned up after dinner, my husband was surfing the web, and I was relaxing on the couch. I was reading the back of a cake mix, trying to decide if I had time to bake it, let it cool, frost it, and eat it before I needed to be in bed. My husband was watching a video on the internet. He said something funny about it, we both laughed. Then, bam, I woke up, face down in bed. My clock read 8 a.m. exactly. My alarm hadn't been turned on. I was very confused and could smell the strong scent of coconut. I sat up and looked at my husband, who was also just waking up. He looked at me with a really confused look, and we both jumped out of bed and ran to our kids' room. They were in bed asleep. We went into the living room, and the second our dog saw us, she started whimpering and sort of army crawling towards us. It was such unusual behavior for her. I had never seen her act that way before, and have never since. Nothing looked out of order in our apartment aside from one small detail. The cake mix I'd been looking at that night was gone. I searched everywhere for that cake mix and never found it. Another odd detail from that day is that we all were dressed in our pajamas when we woke up except my youngest. He was in the jeans and t-shirt he had been wearing the night before. Neither my husband nor I would have ever put him to bed like that. Neither of us have any memory of getting into our pajamas or anything else after laughing at the comment he made about the video. We, already late for work, both called in sick that day. We spent the day talking about it and trying to make sense of it. At some point that day, he asked me if I had smelled coconut when I woke up. We never found the source of the smell. To this day, I can't look at a cake mix or smell coconut without feeling a little anxious and sick. Case notes for file 1271, The Coconut of Time. Every now and again, I read a story such as this one that just blows my mind. There are so many novel anomalies in this. Of course, like smelling the coconut. I'm just sitting here at the loss, what does that mean? You both smelled the coconut as evidence from him asking you later in the day. You never mentioned it first. What does that mean? Aliens never produce a coconut smell, to my knowledge. I tried looking that up and no, it's not a common aspect of time loss or any anomaly. Coconut is just coconut. Also, your dog acting scared is a very important detail. It means something did happen in a way to affect her too. Maybe you both disappeared from the apartment and then reappeared and she simply missed you. But it sounds even more than that. The abrupt event affected her too. If she could talk and relay her experience, it may have been just as sliced as yours. But then being dressed in pajamas, but one kid not being. Hell, this experience is so all over the place, all I can think of is an extremely powerful trickster warping reality in 20 different directions that don't connect, just to mess with you. What else could it be? Bonus file written by SM1020, The Mystery of the Wet-Haired Apparition. In college, I was roommates with my childhood best friend for about 2 years. We are very trusting with each other. We would go into each other's rooms freely and grab whatever we needed. To borrow clothes, hairbrushes, perfume, etc. No questions asked, just a knock if we were in the room to let each other know we were going in. Our rooms are across the hall from each other, with the hall facing the kitchen. So from the kitchen, you could see down the hall where our rooms were. At the time, my friend had very long black hair and she's very fair-skinned. One day, I get home from work, with my headphones in my ear, talking to my mom about my day. I go into the kitchen and grab a snack. I see her walk out of my room and go into mine, leave my room and go back into hers. She looked like she just got out of the shower, her hair was soaking wet and she was wrapped in a white towel. Her long black hair is what I distinctly remember. Also, she made no eye contact with me, but I didn't think it was weird. I didn't say anything to her since borrowing each other's stuff was normal. I'm still on the phone with my mom, so I don't think much of it. I grab my snack, hang up on my mom, and go into my room to watch TV. I figured she's getting ready to go somewhere and we'll talk later. About an hour passes and I go into the kitchen to clean up the plate I ate on. I see her in the kitchen making something to eat and I tell her, "Hey, what did you grab from my room earlier? Did you find what you needed?" She looks at me like I was crazy and says, "What are you talking about?" So I say, "Yeah, earlier when I got home, I saw you go into my room and grab something. Did you get what you needed?" Sorry I didn't say hi, I was on the phone with my mom. She asked me if I'm sure I saw her. I said yes, 100%. She tells me to grab my phone and go to her car ASAP, that she needs to show me something. I had my phone on me, and she grabbed my keys from the kitchen counter along with her purse and she dragged me out of the front door and into her car. She then tells me she got home maybe 5 minutes before we started talking. She had spent the night with her boyfriends and hadn't been home all day. So she has no idea who I saw. I'll never forget the look on her face when she told me this. Complete fear and panic. She called the cops, and they came along with the apartment manager. They checked the whole apartment and found no one, nothing amiss. And they were in there a while, checking every nook and cranny. The manager got maintenance to change our locks and gave us new keys that day. My friend then tells me that for a week, she'd been hearing noises from her bathroom like bottles moving, and when she went to check, she found nothing. I have no idea who I saw going in and out of our rooms, but it looked exactly like my friend. I don't drink or do drugs, not on meds. This was in 2014, and I still freak out when I think about it. Case notes for the bonus file. The mystery of the wet-haired apparition. So nothing being missing, and you saw a woman, not a man. One that was wet from the shower, leads me to think it is very unlikely to be an actual intruder. That said, your roommate was very smart to contact the police and have the place checked out thoroughly. You never know, better safe than sorry. The answer to the mystery is repeating signals, repeating patterns. If a soul disconnects from the host body, or rather splits in two, with half staying behind, the other half does what it knows, which he's already done a million times before, is to shower in their apartment. These soul severance events aren't going to produce a soul wandering around curing cancer or anything novel like that. I don't think that's how it works. More interesting a question in my mind than what happened seems clear enough is why. The catalyst is what gnaws at me. She was with her boyfriend, presumably having a good time, so why would her soul split temporarily then? Is it a certain mindset required of being relaxed and happy? I don't think it's that. Is it something forcing the split? And now time for the question of the day. Is there a time where you did something that seems so out of character that most people wouldn't believe it? For me, it was the last day in high school. I only did 1 year, not even a full year, and the last day when I was checking out, I started a food fight in the cafeteria area. Maybe it does seem like me. I am kind of a trickster, but no one else in school would have believed it. And I don't think anyone found out. Don't tell anyone. So much wasted food. Should have ate it. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.